Welcome back to round number 7 of the Modern Open here at SCG Philadelphia. We have a nice time-shifted feature to bring you, but real quick, we've been unraveling the information for SCG-Con Summer coming up in June. We have some more information to spill. It's going to be our featured artists here at SCG-Con Summer, and look at that lineup.
Yeah, this is pretty insane. Obviously, Rob Alexander, Noah Bradley, Jeff Lobenstein, all these people have been around Magic forever. As you can see, Jeff Lobenstein, the show and tell creator, as well as
Recurring
Nightmare. There it is. Just a ton of featured artists. Dan Scott, Scragnoth's a good one. I couldn't even see it in there. And so we did like some amalgamations of some of the art that these artists have done. Richard Kane Ferguson, Nils Ham, Raul Vital, Ken Meyer Jr., John Stanko, Jason Engel, Zach Stella, and Tyler Jacobson. They're all going to be there. If you want to come out and get some cards signed, I'm sure they would love to have you and love to meet you.
Richard Kane Ferguson paints some of the most absurd art, some of my favorite Magic pieces. There's just so much going on.
Is one of those Arcane Denial?
I believe so.
I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, his pieces are so involved. There's so much going on. It's hard to combine two of them. There's enough going on in one.
Yeah, but both the tape is in the drive. We are ready to watch the backup feature match, the time-shifted match. Let's go and get that done.
We got Gerard Fabiano on your right, Jake Mondello on the left. Azorius control for Fabiano. You know there's going to be some oddballs. It's a Fabiano deck. Mondello's on Izzet Phoenix. Pretty stock stuff. Both players starting with some cantrips here. Mondello shocked from a Steam Vents to 18 for his Serum Visions. He got a Thing in the Ice on 2. A couple islands for Fabiano. He just Celestial Colonnade, had an op. There's a Search for Escanta. Doing some stuff, getting the tires spinning.
Yeah, and if you're curious about the deck list that each of these players has brought to the table, make sure to check out the Cardboard Live extension. And note, it does work on mobile. Just click that little puzzle piece that's right next to the chat box.
Mondello has a Pyromancer Ascension. Also cast a Manamorphose there, so a little bit of setup to get that one going.
Yeah, and here you're probably, unless Gerard has one of his very specific answers to Pyromancer Ascension, you could see it take over the game. Most of the interaction that Gerard has in this matchup is going to be removal-based or counterspell based, and with Pyromancer Ascension already on the battlefield, Gerard's going to need to have something like Cryptic Command to bounce it, or draw one of his 2 detention spheres.
Fabiano did hit his 4th land drop, so Cryptic Command could be at the ready here. Mondello's going to work, though. He had a Thought Scour, now he has Manamorphose, Faithless Looting, Thing in the Ice. It has transformed into the Awoken Horror. 1 counter on the Pyromancer Ascension. And here's a Lightning Bolt going at Fabiano. Arclight Phoenix coming out of the graveyard. An attack for 10.
Yeah, and Gerard here going to be fetching, assuming getting Cryptic Command to go bounce draw on the Awoken Horror. But looks like Vanilla Click, his hand might not be very good, and he might just need to find Path to Exile. Otherwise, maybe a chump block.
Yeah, targeted himself, and then he just had to block the Phoenix there. Took 7. He's at 9.
I mean, you never want to be in a spot where you're sending Arclight Phoenix back to the graveyard. But, Gerard's hand might have just been super reliant on Search for Escanta. Finally does find Path to Exile for his draw for the turn. He's able to take care of that Awoken Horror.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a sigh of relief there. See what else Mondello can do. Didn't make an attempt on getting back a Phoenix pre-combat. It can be a little bit tenuous into Cryptic Command mana.
I mean, that's certainly true. He doesn't want to have Pyromancer Ascension get completely blown out, And here, whoa, he found a sweet line.
Lightning Bolt.
Lightning Bolt to turn on Pyromancer Ascension while Gerard is tapped out. Then Snapcaster plus Flashback equals 6 more damage to the dome. Jake steals that one.
That was nice.
That was nice. Gerard was looking like he might actually claw back in the game, finding that Path to Exile, but at 9 life, that was just enough for Mondello to get the job done.
Yeah, so you can check out these players' sideboards using the Cardboard Live extension there. Fabiano's up to his usual tricks, and by his usual tricks, I mean playing some card no one else plays. Got a couple Isolates, Stainful Stroke, Dispel, 2 Negates, 3 Surgical Extraction, that's the big find, a Celestial Purge, Timely Reinforcements, a Baneslayer Angel, and 2 Terminus.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting suite of cards. I like the Isolates against matchups like Humans, where you can take out stuff like Ether Vial or potentially their Champion of the Parish or Noble Hierarch. There's quite a few 1-mana permanents that get played in Modern, so a card like that is pretty heads up. As far as what you do in this matchup, obviously Surgical Extraction is key, but any sort of graveyard interaction or exiling effect is quite good. But you still have to make sure that you can beat stuff like Thing in the Ice. You gotta be careful.
Fabiano started this game suspending Ancestral Vision. He's playing 2 copies of that one. Mondello started with a Faithless Looting, 1 Arclight Phoenix in the graveyard, as well as a Lightning Bolt. Turn 2, he has a Thing in the Ice. He used a Fetch Land and a Steam Vents untapped here, so he's at 17. Fabiano's going to fire off an Opt here and then go ahead and find Hallowed Fountain.
Now, as long as Gerard has an answer to Thing in the Ice, he can actually afford to take a hit or two from Arclight Phoenix. But Gerard actually just has the counterspell from Manamorphose there, and that actually just shuts down the entire turn for Jake Mondello.
Yeah, Mondello had first missed his 3rd land drop. Now he hits it. Here's a Serum Visions. Looked like 1 top, 1 bottom. Another Serum Visions. Always nice to know the card you're going to draw. And a Faithless Looting. How many Phoenixes can he get back? Does Fabiano have a Surgical?
Yeah, I think he just has the 1 from the original discard. But Gerard doesn't have the Surgical, but now he does get to draw those 3 fresh cards off the Ancestral Visions. Shouldn't be too hard to find an answer to Phoenix now.
Yeah, went to 16 off that hit, 15 off of a Fetch Land, Detention Sphere for the Phoenix, and Search for Azcanta.
Detention Sphere is actually a pretty sweet answer to Arclight Phoenix in multiples, so that's something to keep in mind if this ends up going to a Game 3. If Mondello had, found a second Phoenix, yeah, it would have hit Gerard for an extra 3, but Detention Sphere would have cleaned them all up.
Another Thing in the Ice for Mondello. Want to transform that one pretty quick. The longer this game goes, should be better for Fabiano. As you see, the Search for Azcanta has transformed.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty trained at this point to know that the longer the game goes, the person with the Azcanta, the Sunken Ruin, is heavily advantaged.
Yeah, you can tell that at normal speed. You can tell that at 3x speed. That card's just good. You can probably still tell at 8x speed.
Yeah, no kidding.
If a match was theoretically to be played at 8 times the normal speed for some reason.
All right. Well, looks like Mondello has floated some mana off of Manamorphose. Used a red to cast Faithless Looting. Gerard responds with a Logic Knot. Jake Mondello goes for a Dispel on the Logic Knot. And I'm pretty sure he still has Spell Pierce in hand. So if Gerard has a Cryptic Command here as one of his last few cards, he's able to... Okay. This is actually pretty heads up by Gerard. He casts the Snapcaster Mage, lets the ability resolve, and then Awoken Horror actually bounces the Snapcaster Mage. Just so much going on so fast, and it's so intricate.
Attack with the Phoenix and the Thing in the Ice. Fabiano now down to 5. So things have gotten pretty bad from him pretty quick.
Yeah, but as long as he can take care of these creatures, it should be in fine shape. A bounce there on the Awoken Horror means that it is no longer much of a threat. He has to go through all the hoops again to transform it. And as long as Gerard has an answer here to this Arclight Phoenix, I think he's going to be in great shape.
Yeah, bounce draw with the Cryptic Command. The Jace the Mind Sculptor does a pretty good job of checking things like Thing of the Ice and this Crackling Drake. So Mondello drew a card, found a 6th land, also plays the Thing in the Ice. So now there's 2 things that Jace would want to bounce. And a Phoenix in the hand that we know about. And Fabiano, despite drawing 3 extra cards off Ancestral Vision, pretty light on cards in hand. Plays a land, he only has 3 of them now.
Yeah, he's been pretty aggressive on using things like Cryptic Command to bounce draw. Jace is just minus twice. Hasn't really found much traction here. To be able to brainstorm with Jace, he's afraid of dying. That means he doesn't have Path to Exile, he doesn't have Celestial Purge or Detention Sphere, any real way to permanently remove the creature.
And a 7th mana source for Mondello. He fetched Shock there. He's at 14. He's going to play that Crackling Drake and a Blood Moon.
Yeah,
that forces action.
Nice. This is a nice one for Mondello. Could potentially shut off that Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, as well as Celestial Colonnade. So Gerard here forced to respond. Finds Snap Cryptic Command to counter the Blood Moon and bounce that Crackling Drake. Now it gets to brainstorm with a fetch land on the battlefield. So things looking up for Gerard. Pretty confident he's going to win this game.
Yeah, stabilizing reasonably at 5 life here. Plays an island, he's going to crack that Flooded Strand down to 4. 4 is still 1 higher than 3, so you can kind of safely do that stuff.
5 mana, that's a Teferi. It's going to plus and just keep burying Mondello in cards. Now, there's a chance that Mondello has a string here that involves multiple Arclight Phoenixes returning, and perhaps Gerard not having access to a Surgical Extraction, and he could potentially steal the game that way.
There's a flashback on Faithless Looting. 2 Arclight Phoenixes discarded, Thing in the Ice, 2 3 counters, now to 2 off of another flashback on Looting. Mondello pretty much has a choice of any card in his deck after this many cards.
Wow, found another Arclight Phoenix. I think he's heavily incentivized to discard it because even if Gerard does have Surgical, it's going to get stripped out of his hand. So.
And that's only 2 spells, so no Phoenix is coming back this turn. He's leaving up 1 mana. I believe he has a Spell Pierce in his hand.
Wow.
So Fabiano does get to use that as content and finds Cryptic Command. That's a big hit.
Yeah, I mean, so you can see the kind of the danger here of Mondello boarding in a bunch of these reactive cards like Spell Pierce and Dispel. Yeah, the one turn where he used it to protect his stuff was pretty great. But this turn where he desperately needs any instant or sorcery, he just gets hounded by the Spell Pierce kind of rotting in his hand.
Yeah, reactive stuff can be really difficult in your deck that's trying to main phase 3 sorceries.
Yeah, that's why we see the legacy versions of Phoenix utilizing discard effects as their forms of disruption rather than things like Daze and Force of Will. They're way more proactive with Cabal Therapy and Thoughtseize.
Fabiano found a Path to Exile off of his Kanta, plus a Teferi, untapped some lands. Mondello started with Crackling Drake. That resolved. Here's a Serum Vision, Sting in the Ice to 1 counter. Though that Snapcaster Mage is still in play for Fabiano. If you transform that thing, he gets to pick that up. Here's Manamorphose, though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing's going to transform. It's going to bring back the Snapcaster. He's going to be able to snap Path to Exile on the Awoken Horror, but now the question is, can he beat the 3 Phoenix coming back? Does he have the Surgical Extraction for it? And can he afford to go to 2 life in the face of a potential Lightning Bolt? We've seen so many cards from Mondello's side. There's a chance Mondello just takes this game in the face of 2 Planeswalkers, multiple Snapcasters getting bounced, resolved Ancestral Visions. Holy moly.
And there's Lightning Bolt. That's just going to go upstairs. Fabiano at 1. Here's 3 Phoenixes. Got to fire off that Cryptic Command to tap them.
Wow, this is nice. Gerard here going for the tap all your creatures, bounce Detention Sphere play to potentially snag all of those Arclight Phoenixes.
So there's a little bit of a discussion here, because if you bounce your Detention Sphere, then Mondello, I don't know what order Cryptic Command resolves in. I don't know if you can do that play. You might just die to the Phoenix.
Oh, no, you're right.
And that's just tap draws where he goes, draw some cards off of his Planeswalkers.
Just had Jason Mind Sculptor in play for 7 turns. I'm pretty sure he can't beat what's on the battlefield /hand for Jake Mondello. This is, if Jake ends up winning this game, this is going to be one for the record books. I'll tell you what, it's just a show of strength from this Is It Phoenix deck. Gerard at 1 life needs to effectively chain Cryptic Command until the end of time to not be dead. But he might be able to do it. You know, he only needs to do it until he can ultimate it to Teferi, and then card draw spells can start exiling them. But a Snapcaster Mage from Mondello on a Dispel might actually be enough to win this game. Or
it's
just goes for the bolt.
Lightning Bolt. Yeah, that one's just lethal. There's a Dispel for Fabiano.
All right, but that leaves Fabiano with just 5 mana untapped. Another Bolt equals another Snapcaster Mage, plus probably some other counterspell in the yard, like a Logic Knot.
I think it's something that costs 2, though. Mondello still has that Spell Pierce, so here's Logic Knot. You got to exile your cards, and then I think we're going to see the Spell Pierce. There it is. Fabiano cannot do it. Jake Mondello just keeps twisting the needle and eventually pulls off just a marathon affair against Azorius Control.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Jason the Mind Sculptor active for 6 turns. We saw Teferi active for 4 turns, or 3 turns, excuse me. And then we also saw Escando the Sunken Ruin